So this one's for the producers, as I've said, for anybody joining. This isn't a DJ set or anything like that. It's a track walkthrough of my current track, remix, of Billy Gillies' track Power, which is out now on Damaged Records. It's sitting at number 33 in the Beatport Top 100 chart. Appreciated massively from everybody who's went and supported it. You can go over to Beatport and grab it if you want to support it further. But thank you very much, everybody who has supported it. So we're going to just jump straight in, start the track off. I always start with a kick and bass. Feel free to write any comments and stuff like that there as well. I have the comments up in front of me. So if you need to post anything or if you're curious about anything, just bear in mind it's a 10 second fucking delay. So yeah, you need to bear with me. So let's start. Kick and bass first of all. So bog standard tech trance kick. It's been, this track, when I started this tune, this remix, I wanted to do something a little bit more techno-y. Tech trance and like hard techno. There's a lot of inspiration from T78 in this. So I wanted to get like a hard punchy kick, which is where I got the idea for this. Let me just turn that up on a wee bit because it seems a bit low. So yeah, tech trance / techno, hard techno kind of track. It's a kick drum. Now with the kick drum, it was missing a little bit of high end. So what I always do when a track's missing a little bit of high end is I add either like a hat or some sort of percussion sound, which kind of just gives a little bit of clarity on the highs. So I added this. So the original sound is that, but I just shortened the decay and the decay time to make it a little bit shorter and give it more of a click. Put that over the kick. So it just gives the kick a little bit more high end and a little bit more presence. Okay, then we'll move on to the bass. Yes, it's bounced down. The kick's bounced down into... I bounce everything down, the majority of stuff. The majority of the stuff in the track's all bounced down unless it's MIDI. Anything to do with MIDI. I'll keep that there. If I need to tweak it or anything like that, I'll always make sure to keep that. But most things, kicks, anything like that there, that don't manipulate too much, bounce that down the audio. So this is a sub bass. So it's a double. Play that with a kick. And then there's another layer here. This is just a layer for the low mids. Occupies the low mid area. It doesn't really add anything else, but it just sits above the sub to give it a little bit more meat down the low end. Very, very subtle that layer. It doesn't really add too much, but it does. It gives it a little bit more in the bottom end of the bass line. So it's the kick and the sub. It's the most simple bass line I've made. The processing on the bass is just PSP 27, which is one of my favourite EQs. Just pushing the presence on it a bit on one of the layers, and then a bit of EQ. Just cutting out everything above 220 Hz. So it's basically just a sub bass and a kick. Happy days. Kick and bass sorted. There's a reverse kick in that group as well, which is basically just what it says on the tin for transitions. Just a kick. It's meant to be there, I think. Yeah. Okay, so move on to percussion. With this tune as well, because I stripped the no worries at all, Harpo. The percussion in this, because I stripped the bass line right back, I just wanted to put a lot of emphasis on the percussion because there's obviously a lot of space to work with. So I wanted to make it quite aggressive. I'll make sure it was nice and full. So first of all, we'll start with a clap. One of the most important pieces of percussion. Take a double clap. Simple stuff. An open hat. This one's pan 10 to the left. Just always try and pan your percussion. Always try and pan your percussion, spread it out in your stereo field. You don't just want to have everything down the middle. it's not exciting enough, and it just takes up too much headroom in your track. Try and pan everything out, give everything its own independent space. So the clap's down the middle. But this open hat's pan 10 to the left, 10% left. And I have another hat here which is pan 20% right. Okay, and then the third hat loop here is, yeah, that one's pan left and right, so it's kind of got a bit of movement on it. Next, I always end up when I'm doing my percussion, when I'm doing my hats specifically, I always find that there's always one missing when I think I'm done, so I always have, the last thing that I'll do is add in an enhance loop, so it's just like another hi-hat loop, but it's the enhance, what I already have. So just do what I can with 3 or 4 layers and then maybe add this one in. Next, there's a drum loop. Notice here, notice the sides here, everything's all panned. Apart from a couple of things, everything has its own space. 10 left, 20 right, 11 left, 7 right. So it's just spreading everything out in the mix, giving everything its own space. There's another drum loop there, another hi-hat loop. Shaker loop. Then we've got a ride cymbal here, which is very aggressive. Yes, David, all things, quite a lot of reverb on all these elements, all sent to the same reverb. Yes, I've sent them all on the group. I'll put a reverb on the group channel. I don't usually do that with my tech trance, maybe my up-tempo kind of stuff. Not like the stripped back kind of tech trance. I don't usually use too much reverb on the percussion because I like it to be dry and driving. But for this kind of track, because the bass line, there's so much space with the bass line. It's just basically a sub bass, so there's so much space to be filled. I thought it was better to add a bit of reverb to the percussion to kind of give it a little bit more space. It made a lot more sense to my ears. So that's the ride loop, and then this extra loop here. It's just like some drum hits. Okay, so put the kick and bass in first of all, and we'll just solo each one so you can hear them all coming in together. So the clap first. To be honest, I made the cut to in the final version, but that's all the loops and stuff like that in the track. And then there's some, I'll show you the processing on the group here. So there's Faturator, which is a distortion unit. It's just giving it a bit of extra drive. EQ, cutting out all the lows, all those unwanted frequencies. Filter, glue compressor. There is a PSP. This is just to enhance the highs a little bit. This is a color EQ. It's really, really good. PSP 27. Go and check it out, guys. It's like a go-to for my groups and buses. A little bit of surgical EQ there. And then just this reverser effect for some transitions and stuff. So, kick and bass and loops done. Okay, now this is different percussion. This is like, I guess this is where the first bit of inspiration comes from. T78, like this kind of big, just like really, really loud, big in your face snares with loads of processing and stuff. So there's like 909 stabs and snares. I'll turn off. Let me see there 1 second. I'll turn off all the processing on these first of all. So where the hell? Okay, so this is a snare. Bear with me here, I've had a long day, fuck's sake. It's very dry, very boring. Cool tip, tell all my clients this one as well, is the Haas effect. A lot of producers have probably heard of it, but it's basically you set one delay, you can control each side of the delay, left and right. Set the left side to 1 millisecond, set the right side to like 20 milliseconds, and basically what it does is it spreads out your signal, puts it out the sides. So if you listen to this off and on, it just takes it from the middle and just spreads it right out the sides, giving it its own space. After that, I have a dimension expander, which is kind of like a chorus. It just adds a little bit of character. So it's kind of like filling the gaps between the snares, between the hits, and it's also giving it a bit of character. So that's the snare, and there's this, which is just like a 909. And then there's a second one here, so it's kind of like a loop over 2 bars, 4 bars. Okay, what have I just done? 1 second. Just move that there somewhere. Where the fuck to go? There we go. Okay. Okay, and then what I've done with this is I have a external reverb channel, and on the reverb it's just some EQ, and then it's sidechained as well. So the hits, the reverb ducks when the hits actually, when the snares hit and the 909 hits, the reverb will duck to let them cut through the mix a little bit more. So those all together gives you this groove. Very groovy, fat, plenty of space there, as I said, with the sub bass being just a kick and sub. You can do that with your percussion. You can get away with a lot more. So moving on now. Next, we'll just have a listen to actually how it progresses. So we listen to the groove from where it starts right up until it gets its busiest. Let me just. So, you can hear they're bringing things in, not everything in at once, making it progressively add, so you can keep building the groove further on as you go through the track. So next we'll move on. There's a couple of vocal chops here. Next element. This is out of, this one here is out of, what do you call that tune? It's a Prodigy. It's a Prodigy tune. They released a remix pack, and I got this out of it. I can't remember what it's called. Literally just a wee snippet there. Put that in with the percussion and the bass. Just add a little bit more to the groove, a couple more elements, give it more depth, and then there's this, which is out of the original. Vocals class. So these together now in the mix. I'll bring this over here just for the purpose of showing you this. Processing on this vocal chop is just EQ, cutting out some of the mids, the Haas effect, which is spreading it out wide, reverb, some compression, and then panning it 37% on a half bar. So it just kind of moves between the two speakers, so it's not central. Again, giving more movement to the track and complementing the groove. Next, what I always like to do when I come into transition points is I'll use elements that are already in the track, but I'll try and use them like intelligently and kind of like bridge them across. So what I've done is I just took the hardcore power bit here, and because this is a transition, it builds up into the first little break. I wanted to take this element out, take these two vocal chops out, but keep this like with the tail carrying on. So it's not just like stopping. You're keeping the track interesting, keeping the elements interesting. Listen when it gets to here. It's just panning there, it's a delay, side chained, and then just panning with a bit of EQ. Simple stuff. Okay, next, let me see what I've got. So we've got some synths here. Start off with a wee acid at the start. This is pretty cool. I'm going to show you a good wee tip here for doing unique acids, make them sound a little bit more unique. So, first of all, I'll show you the preset in synth. So this is the sound. Oh, on here. Put that in with the kick and bass because it's class. Okay, so I'll show you the tip first of all. See, when you're using silent, you can set over here in your miscellaneous, you can set your source to your velocity. So what that means is you can manipulate certain parameters inside silent with the velocity, which is how hard you press on a note. So what you do first of all is you get a sequence that you like. So this is the sequence that I came up with. And down here are all the velocities. So listen to the difference here when I make all these the same velocity. There's not nowhere near enough movement. So it's just consistent, it just stays on the same kind of sound and note. A good thing to do is set your, in your silent, set your velocity. So you want to affect with your, change it to your cutoff. It is class, silent is class, my go-to for near enough everything. But your cutoff, you want to set your velocity to your cutoff. So what that means is the harder you press on the note, it'll adjust your cutoff knob for your filter. So if you bring it down, you can see here, it's like a staircase, they're going up and down. If I set 3 up and 3 down, you can hear the difference. It's affecting the cutoff with each note. So the higher, the squeakier it is, there's more resonance, and the lower that you set it means it comes down. The knob comes down. So what you do there is you just get a sequence that you like first of all, and then manipulate the notes to give it a bit of movement. And we wobble as well at the end. I'll show you how to do that. So if you open your silent again, your portamento is like your sway between notes. So if you turn that off, it's because of the way that the clip is set up. It's recorded, Aaron, don't worry. So the way that the clip is set up, there's 2 notes playing at once. So this is a sustain note on top, and then there's four chops at the bottom. So because of that, it's going to play the chops at the bottom and the one on top at the same time. If the portamento's off and it just sounds like a mess. Hold on, I'll go back to it. So what you want to do is just turn your portamento on, and what it'll do then is, because it's swaying between the notes, what it's going to try and do is go for, when this note plays, it's going to sway down to this note, sway back up, sway down, sway back up, sway down. So you'll get like a wobble effect, but you have to get, there's a sweet spot you have to hit. Right there. So it'll wobble instead of just being a sustained note. It's a cool wee effect, adds a wee bit of movement in certain points. Yeah, pretty cool. The processing on the acid, where did you first learn music production? Pretty much self-taught me, just YouTube videos. I don't know if they are still going. Sonic Academy, I downloaded a subscription, Sonic Academy, years ago, the gold subscription, like 7 years ago, and just rinsed their whole website, everything, twice. Just tried to soak in as much as possible, and then just YouTube. I have a playlist on YouTube, about 300 videos. I'll post it in the comments when this is done. All useful videos, just techniques and stuff, and then just practice. Just get in and practice, make sounds and make tunes, and just try and make as many as possible, learn as many new techniques. Right, so I'll show you the processing on the acid. So a bit of EQ, decapitator, which is saturation. It's pushed pretty far in this. Turn this on and off. Just really beefing it up. PSP again, some compression, sidechain, and S1 waves, which isn't doing anything, fucking pointless. Yeah, so pretty simple stuff with the acid. It's all about getting the right sound with your acids before heavy processing. Okay, next element, we have a little bass pluck here, bog standard stuff. Just a wee triplet bass pluck. Just in this section here, bar 57, this is obviously a change. This is where it comes in. the track will come, like, builds up here with the there's a fill there, and then I need to change here before I get them a break, so just added this little element in to kind of complement what I already had. Any questions, folks? Fire them over. My time is yours. Next, let me see, is there anything else there? Oh yeah, there's a synth stab along here. I'll let you hear. I was going to go through all the elements from top to bottom, but I think it makes more sense. What Ableton skin is this? I actually only got it the other day. It was off a website. I'll post it, and it's free. Like, I'll post it in my Dropbox. I'll get a Dropbox link and post it in the comments for you. It's pretty slick. I hate bright skins. Too fucking intense on the eyes. You need a dark skin, fucking nice and dim for the long hours. But as I was saying, yes, I'm gonna go through the parts here from the intro because I was gonna go down, but I'll be missing a lot of shit. So I'll have a listen here. We'll go through effects and stuff next. I'll just try and remember what I've went through and what I haven't went through. Start to fill.
Coming up strong with some hardcore power.
Show us here next. This is the stabs from the original. So Billy sent me over a couple of parts. Stabs. They're coming up strong, hardcore power, that they're vocal, and there's I think there's a wee stab, a wee acid stab as well. They're literally how I got them. Wee bit of EQ on them, I think. A wee bit of reverb, yep. Clean as a whistle. I like to do as well when I have an element like this, I'll always like to change it. I don't like using just the same thing over and over again. I wouldn't just drag this and play it through the whole track. So I've changed up. There's like a variation here of these exact same stabs. So these have a little bit of like, I think there's like a phaser on them, and then I've changed the sequence a little bit as well. These are to complement the acid, which I was talking about, which I got sent. So it's like these two are talking to each other, just to add to the groove, put the percussion in, put these in together first with kick and bass. So you can see where there's gaps in this sequence, there's like the acids coming in and complementing. I've no idea where the stabs are from, you're going to have to ask Billy, he's the one who sent them to me. So listen to these with the groove of the percussion, everything's all talking, everything's talking to each other, nice groove. Yeah, the 909s as well, they complement this theory, what I'm talking about. So these, if you solo the 909s, the acid and the power stabs, everything's like... So yeah, always try and build a unique groove in your tracks. Don't just throw in a load of loops and just expect everything to work. With the important elements, the ones that you want to cut through, try and make them a little bit more distinctive, make them a bit more creative. Especially with tracks like this, where it's so percussion dominant. I'm not going to go through crashes and sweeps like, because they're literally just crashes and sweeps. Boring as fuck. I've only got about an hour, so I want to continue moving with the breakdowns. Quite a lot of shitting on the breakdown. Have a listen to some of these fills and stuff here. Yeah, I'll have a wee, there's a fill along here actually I forgot about. Where the fuck is it? I went too far.
What I feel.
Yeah. So just a wee vocal here.
What I feel. What?
EQ, compression, bit of reverb, and then let me show you how to do like transition. So I'll always have like a reverse, some sort of element that reverses into the fill. So this is your fill here, but this is like a pre-fill. 47 is like a pre-fill. So it's like it's like you're trying to set up your fill. So you use this section here before to set up the fill, and then you'll have parts that'll like fade out. So your pre-fill, your fill, then your post-fill. So this is the pre-fill, and this above. So those two elements are getting us into the fill, Obviously, you'll have like percussion and stuff. There's like a little reverser. You'll affect your elements in your track to try and complement that idea. I'm not doing anything on the bass, keeping it simpler. So these two lead into this, which is the fill.
What I feel.
So there's an impactor. So the after this, it's like everything. It's like a question and answer. The two elements are talking to each other. So reverse. So that leads into that, and then you have this vocal, which is like the prominent part of the fill.
What I feel.
And then you have this, which is just like a drum fill, kind of 2 hits, and then I've side chained, bounced it down, I've side chained with the reverb on it, so it like carries into the transition. So if you listen to these with just the kick and bass, you'll get the idea for what I mean, like the pre-fill, the fill itself, and then the post-fill.
What I feel.
And then here, this is where you start bringing in your next elements. So it's taking a break from your kick and bass and your percussion to like give the listener an opportunity to recognize that there's going to be a significant change. So after that, you bring in the acids and then more perc. So if we listen to the fill with the percussion and what's in there, and then after, it's like just a seamless. You'll cut it, cut the energy, and then put a fill in, and then it's like seamless going into the next part.
What I feel.
And then everything in, there's some extra effects there, and then the crashes and stuff.
What I feel.
Always try and put as much time as possible into your fills and stuff like that, because they really do make a difference. It's a difference between a really good track and an amazing track. If you put all that, it's the attention to detail, all the little intricate stuff. That's the stuff that's the most time consuming, but it makes a big difference. The biggest differences. Right, where are we here? So this, we'll go in here. This is the first transition point. So this is the first drop where it kicks in with the strip back kick and bass and the like techno stab. But again, touching on like fills and transitions, I have to get the objective when you're in this section here is to get back to this. But this is busy here. So we need to take, you can't just cut all that. You can't just cut your entire project and then just like jump. It doesn't work. So you have to have transition areas. So 65 until 73 is like a transition area. So this is where you'll filter all your kick and bass down. You'll filter all your elements down and build everything up again with energy. Strip it back and then kick it in. So for this section here, you can hear. Listen to it first and then I'll dissect it.
Coming up strong with some hardcore power.
Okay, so we're not getting ahead of ourselves here. So this transition part, we'll take a kick out. So it's just the sub bass going to be playing. So there's a little fill here you can hear with the vocal chop, give you the idea. Same exact thing as before, taking some elements out, teasing a little bit of energy, then changing the sequence. So the bass is filtered. You're going to filter your bass up because of the transition. Okay. Just this last section filters up, and then the percussion, you filter all your percussion down. But because you're filtering all your elements down, you're taking the high end out of your percussion, you're taking the low end out of your bass. You need to compensate with other elements, or else the track will just sound empty. So this is where you add in different sequences and different parts of the track. I always find that in these transition areas, there's only elements that are in these parts of the track, nowhere else, which is what this green stuff is. So the filtering of the percussion, listen to that with the bass, the vocal chops. Actually, the only bit that I done there, I just remembered, was with the huge snare. I actually automated the decay. So instead of it being so open, the decay comes down and gets tighter. So if I lower this right down, you'll hear what I mean. So it like shortens the actual length of the note. So it gets shorter. It's the loops, I think. Yeah, the loops filtered in. So if you listen to the loops in the bass, so you're losing volume there. because you're filtering everything down. This is where you have to put sweeps in and stuff like that to kind of compensate for the volume loss. Because you've still, at the end of the day, you're trying to build energy up for the drop. So you need to add snare rolls, sweeps, stuff like that there. So the synths in this section here. You hear the acid filter down and the wee bass pluck. This here is exactly what I was talking about. Because I'm losing the high end of the loops and stuff, I added this little sequence in. So this is filtering up instead of down. So if you listen to that with the loops, you'll hear what I mean. So the loops are coming down, this sequence is coming up, so they're kind of like overlapping. Which is giving you more depth. And then the snares and kick rolls, these are the main elements for building energy. I like to always have two, playing two different sequences, just gives you a lot more groove. Okay, and then these green elements here, what I was talking about, these are just parts that are used for this transition bit. So everything that's being lost there, if I take these out and listen to what's actually happening, I take all this green out and you can hear with everything filtering down, take the snares out as well. It's taking these elements that are all busy in the track, getting them out and compensating them for new elements and then stripping it back again for the drop. There you go. And you add these in, that just adds that extra bit of depth. Perfect. So again, pre-fill, talking about it again, in this first break section you have this impact. And you have this one, I think this is just like a kick. It's like a metallic hit. Filtered all the low end out of it. Or sorry, EQ'd all the low end out of it. Supposed to here added on top of each other, then we'll have this. So I just took the wee acid that I used over here. Oh god, that was a quick zoom out. Just used this in the fill. If you haven't seen my transportal in the studio video about reverse reverbs and stuff, there's like 100 in every single track. It's basically just showing you, it's on their YouTube channel, in the studio with transportal. I'll show you how to do a couple of reverse techniques. So this is the vocal.
Coming up strong with some hardcore power.
I wanted to do a reverse into it, so I'll show you in this video on transportal on YouTube. Go and check it out, how to create a reverse like this. It just adds a bit of extra depth so it doesn't come in out of nowhere.
Coming up strong with some hardcore.
How many channels do you average per track? Well, this track is 163, which is not a lot for me usually. The track I just finished yesterday is 300 and I think it's 320 or something. Or two. No, I got it down. I think it's like 312. So yeah. The dark side was over 400. Not even joking. But this is one thing I always find. I have an independent. If I'm changing the sound of anything in my track, like for any variation or anything, any sound that's already in there, I'll create a new channel for it. I don't bounce everything. Every single different sound has its own channel. So yeah, I should maybe bounce things together in the like single channels, but no, that's why there's so many channels. It's like not overproduced. Well, some people might say it is overproduced, but everything has its place. It all works to me. So back to this, the reverse vocal with the acid stab.
Coming up strong with some hardcore power.
And then here, I just have a wee snare, 808, bog standard, and then the drop with the hoover. Now, I've got quite a few messages. How did I make that sound? Thanks very much, Craig. This is actually a sample. This is a sample out of Splice. I didn't make this at all. What I've done with it is just some... So cut out all the low mids. What I've done was added a bit of saturation to it. Just a basic saturator preset in Saturn, and then the PSP. Listen to this PSP. If anybody's got headphones on or speakers, you'll hear the difference here. So if you just crank this, it's like an airband. It's like a Mag EQ, which is another great EQ. I always set it to about 14k, and then just do a 2 dB boost. Listen to what it does to the high end. It just adds presence to any sound. It's really, really handy. If something's not cutting through the mix, you can use like distortion, stuff like that, overdrive, but like if you really doesn't get to push the highs, I would always do this. So there's the fill here with the perk. In fact, I'll just play the track. For fuck's sake, trying to solo stuff. So this is this all together. Excuse me.
Coming up strong with some hardcore power.
So that reverb isn't even mine either. That's actually the reverb off the... I just shortened it down because it's too long. So what I've done was just found the tail and then just stuck the tail of the reverb at the end of where I wanted the sample to stop playing. And there's a wee clap down here. This is in the effects. Fuck knows what's in the effects. It should be in percussion. It's just a wee clap. Reverb. This track has a lot of reverb on a lot of elements because, again, there's so much space. Because the kick and subs, that's pretty much it. Like, there's loads of space, loads of mid-range and loads of space to fill, so it needs to have loads of reverb and stuff like that to gel everything together. So there's the double clap there, and then what's this? Another one of those pre-fill. There's a fill there, so this is just a pre-fill. Again, pre-fill, post-fill. Another 2 elements here. Just going to show you this as I go because it's good tips on how to get your fills a little bit more interesting. So it's always reverses or like manipulating elements that are already in your track. So they lead into the snares here. So the hardcore part with the snares.
Hardcore power.
And then this is again the reverse reverb technique. What I've done with this is I added a transgate, kilohertz transgate. All their plugins are amazing. Go and check them out. Really useful. There's a tape stop, a reverser, and a transgate. Just super handy. You just manipulate here. You can drag the length of the notes instead of cutting them up yourself. It's just really handy. But that's basically just the reverse reverb, same as the one before. But I didn't want to use it the same way. I just added a transgate to it, so that sets you up for the fill here with the snares and the vocal. And then obviously you have those reverses too. So listen to like the depth of the transition. Okay, next. Exhausts. These are handy. You need to check these out. If you have Kashmir's pack, an exhaust is basically just a hit with like the way that I use them is just a hit with loads of reverb. So like a clap or a hi-hat with loads and loads of reverb and high end, it always complements your sweeps. I always find when you're using loads of down sweeps in your track, unless you're on white noise ones, which I don't usually do all the time, you're missing loads of high end with them. So just one of these with a bit of sidechain exhausts, they're in this Kashmir pack. He calls them exhausts, so I call them exhausts. But it's basically just a hit with reverb. Adds a bit of depth to the high end. Everything always has to be compensated for. You have to make sure if there's no percussion, fill out the high end with something else. It's the way I like to produce anyway. What else is there here? I don't want to skip anything or miss anything. Right, so this here, the stab. What I've done with this, because this is just a sustained note, it's obviously way too long. I didn't want to warp it because it sounded like shit when I warped it, so I wanted to change the note. So I just cut the note here. Oh fuck. And instead of being 2, it's -2, 2 semitones. I just brought it up 3, so it changes the note, and then back to 2, and then the reverb again, just on the end. So if you listen to this. So it's not the same as the first, again, changing it up, giving yourself a little bit more interest. This is where you start to bring in your percussion again, filtering it in. Thanks very much, Vanessa. Marlene, there's a new set going out tomorrow. My set, The Scene, number 6 with the NITF, goes out tomorrow, live from Helens Bay, 8 PM tomorrow night. Make sure you check it out, it's a good one. But back to the project. This is the where you start bringing in. This is obviously the crescendo again here. So this is where everything kicks back in. Before we get to the breakdown. So you don't just want to bring in all your percussion straight away. I like to filter it in sometimes, which is what I'm doing here. It's gradually coming in instead of just in and coming straight out of the woodwork into your face. Again, exactly the exact same thing as before, using these two fills here and do another fill. Now, I don't always do this when I have a lot more complex tracks. I like to change the fills every time. I don't like to just recycle them. I like to make a different fill for every single part of the track. It's just one thing I love doing. I like the attention to detail. I like to go a little bit over the top. But it works for me. But in this track, because it's a little bit more stripped back, I just decided to reuse everything again. But this is a different fill here. So this is just a drum fill. Like a distorted drum fill. And then a wee vox stab. And a sub drop. So it's a question and answer. This drum fill is leading into the vox stab. But these are the pre-fill, which is setting you up. So if we listen to the effects here. Hope everybody can understand that. I'm talking a wee bit quick like that, man. Trying to explain that. So these lead into this, and this leads into that. There is no automation, don't need to press A. Oh, you're replying to Shane, no problem. What did he ask? Can't find it. Do you have a sub of your monitors and do you use SonarWorks? I don't have a sub on my monitors and I do use SonarWorks. SonarWorks is essential. I have a treated studio in here, like, spent a fortune getting it treated, but SonarWorks is still going to make it sound better. Unless you have a proper, like, top tier studio, you're still going to have some problems, so you might as well use SonarWorks. It's a godsend and essential for any producer, even more so for people with untreated rooms or poorly treated rooms. Alright, okay. So here, there's not much new stuff happening here. This is pretty much just the same stuff that was in previous in the track. What's this here? No, it's just the exhaust. The double claps, yeah, these are all just elements that have been used. So we'll get to the breakdown next. No, not the end of the fucking track. Show you an RV cool fill here. Glitch Bitch is a plugin from Vengeance Sounds. If anybody's looking to like make your transitions a little bit more interesting, please go and check it out. I've shown it in a video before. I think I showed it in one of my... Oh, fucking, you're knocking my table over. One of my production walkthroughs. I think it's La Bomba or State of Emergency. I showed Glitch Bitch, but basically you can manipulate sounds and like just... I'm not going to explain the games, I've explained it in the previous video. Go and watch my previous videos, walkthroughs on my YouTube channel, and you'll find it. But I took this sound and turned it into this. Simple. But I have a reverb coming into it as well. So it's taking this, instead of just dragging this across like this, and then just filtering it down like I do with the percussion, I wanted to make it a little bit more interesting. So it goes like this. This is a fill here. So it just gives a little bit more depth, it makes it a bit more interesting. Forgot about one element, forgot about this wee synth hit, which complements the claps. Nearly slipped past me, cunty. So it's just this, I'll turn the reverb and stuff off first, because I think it's, yeah, that's thing there. It's filtered. So, it's just that, synth hit. And then this. Just kind of just giving like an extra transient. Processing on those is Mag EQ for a bit of high end. Cutting some resonant frequencies out. OTT, which is another free plugin from Axfer. It's a multi-band compressor. It just beefs up sounds. Amazing track. Valhalla Room, which is a reverb. And then the filter on the top of that. Listen to these in the mix. Just add a little bit extra groove. try and make sure, again, I can't stress it enough, make sure everything talks to each other and makes sense. You don't just want to have just random shit playing all over the place. It's going to confuse the listener. Doesn't make much sense in regards to your groove. Okay, the breakdown. Right, so the idea of the breakdown, it was a T78 track. I can't even remember the name of it, but he had this big crazy synth that just played from the start of the breakdown and just kind of like moved the whole way through right till the drop, and then he took it out and it kicked in. Hold on, my dog's barking. I think there's someone at the door. 1 second. Two hours late. Ordered a KFC 2 hours ago, and it comes now. Fucking absolute joke. I actually got the refund for it on Just Eat as well, so it's a free KFC. So happy days. Get that munch when I finish this. I'm gonna actually speed up here because I'm fucking starving. Right. So the breakdown. Yes, the idea was from. I'm not gonna eat on camera. That's trampy as fuck. The idea of the breakdown came from a T78 track. I can't remember the name of it. But he basically had this big synth, played from the start, and he manipulated it, made it faster, like made it quicker, slowed it down, made it fatter, and like really beefed it up. So I'm gonna go in and show you that first, because the breakdown just starts off. It's bringing it to silence. I wanted to like almost bring it right down to silence. Kept the kick and bass filtered in the breakdown. So it's just the same kick and bass, only I've cut a bit of the high end off and squashed it a bit. With the fucking compressor, brain's mush. Where's this sound? So, where is it? Bear with me here. Break synths. Is it in here? Yes, there's it there. Synth sound. Right, so we need to take the filter off it first. So it starts here. So the breakdown starts at 107. This big sound, synth sound, starts to get teased in at 115. No, I'll wait until I eat that. I don't want to lose my focus. So this is the sound. Where's the reverb? I want to turn it off because it's too... Right there. Right, it's in Serum. I'll show you how it's done. So my favourite by quite a fucking distance synthesizer is Serum. Wavetable synthesis is the future. Unbelievable. Right, so it's a bass sound that I found in a pack, but what I'm doing is I'm manipulating over here. So in Serum you can set your LFO to pretty much any parameter. So I set the LFO to the wavetable position, so it's moving the two wavetable positions, and it's doing it over 2 bars. So the I'll show you the automation here. The rate on this one, does it stay the same? You can see one, two, no, it's 1 bar. No, it's 2 bars, no, it's 2. Yeah. So you can see it moving. And what I do with the sound is I pitch it down here, so once it gets to this section, it stays in the same sequence. When would you pick between Valhalla Room and Vintage Verb? Vintage Verb, usually, I would use that on leads and stuff. Because it has an EQ, and the simple reason it has an EQ in the VST, whereas Valhalla Room doesn't. Valhalla Room doesn't have an EQ. You can apply shells and stuff, but no. If I just want to get a reverb for a full all round sound, I'll use Valhalla Room. And if I want to like tweak the EQ and do a little bit more, like tweak into the actual reverb itself, I'll use Vintage Verb. So for simple stuff, Valhalla Room. For a little bit more intricate, I'll use Vintage Verb. So back to this here. This is it here. So see at this section here, you can see that that's a dip. That's the automation. What I'm doing there is I'm changing the rate. So it's 1 bar, playing at 1 bar the whole way up to that point, and then when it gets to there, I'm stretching it right out. I'm making it like manipulate over 2 bars. It's doing it the filter as well. You can see the filter. So the LFO's moving through the filter, which is changing the character of the sound. Also what I've done as well with this big sound is I pitched it down here. So it's very high pitched here. Listen to it when it gets to here. And then listen to it stretch out when it gets to the second section. Up and then down. And then to counteract, this is where the breakdown starts to build a lot of energy. What I've done was I pitch bend up from the bottom. So I pitched it right down and start pitching up, and then it starts at this section here when it kicks, no problem at all. When it hits here, I wanted it to pitch the whole way up, right to the end. But at this bit, there's the same exact sound, but a different variation of it here. So if you listen to it pitching up here. Now the reason why I have a different, a completely different sound, well, the same sound, a completely different channel, is because I turned the LFO off. So I had a, it's not synced is what I mean, so I can do this. So I wanted to manipulate that myself. So it's I managed to match it to the exact same bit of, like, the exact same sequence of where the other one was, so it's seamless. They cross over seamlessly. What I've done, instead of going inward to make it faster, I went down the way to make it open right up, so it's like, it just opens up into like a sustained note. Wait. To reset that. And then here, turn completely down so it stays sustained, and then that helps with the fill of the main drop, which I'll go through soon. But I just wanted to show you that because that's the main idea, that's the main element in the breakdown. I wanted to show you that first. What I'd done to bring it in was kind of like filtered it. I didn't want it to come in that aggressive, obviously, because I wanted to tease it the way T78 done it in his track. What a fucking producer, by the way. And also, to complement those, I have these stabs, which are just like saw stabs, bog standard stuff. Where's the filter? Turn that off. But they're filtered, and then the reverb on them. And I think they're pitched up as well. But I think my pitch wheel's broke. It wasn't working last time I checked. Fuck knows what's wrong with it. Right, so we'll listen to a starter breakdown. So that's the two main elements, them stabs and that synth sound. They're the two main ideas of the breakdown. I built everything around them. I need to fix this quickly. Bear with me, guys. Because it needs to pitch up. It doesn't make sense if it doesn't. I'll try it again here. Just copy over. Pitch range, gravity up. Pitch wheel is a very good plugin if you're looking to, who'd have guessed it, pitch your sounds. Right, so pitch range, is that right? There. Why is it not pasting? Fucking melt. I'm supposed to do this for 11 too. Barson. Right, there we go. So we can delete this one now. There you go. And this should pitch up. Yes! Right, so back to the start. This is taking a lot longer than I thought it would, but I'm actually enjoying it. Hope you're enjoying it too, by the way. Wee bit of insight. Always helps for the production learning process. Like I always used to find out when I was learning. Still to this day, when you see other people's projects, gives you ideas and inspiration. So this is a starter breakdown. String here. Oh yes, forgot about these as well. So these are just like percussion that are designed for the breakdown, specifically the breakdown only. So it's just a loop, another loop, another loop. So it's just like 4 percussion loops right there, like the backbone. And then I've got my own design MIDI perk, which is again what I was talking about. Like sequences talking to each other. Look at these three different sounds. None of them are hitting at the same time. They're all hitting over like the say for instance, like what is it, a bar or 2 bars? It's 2 bars or 1 bar. So look at them, they're all hitting at different points. So this one will hit first. And you have these two claps, and then Jordan, it is gonna be recorded, mate. Yes, let me just check and make sure it's still recording. It's recording. I'm gonna upload it, mate, to my YouTube channel. I think once I finish as well, it automatically posts it to my page. So I can just rewind it and check it out. Don't worry, you'll be able to backtrack. But back to these MIDI perks. This is the brake percussion. I'll turn the filter off so you can hear it. Bring it along a bit actually here. Bring it a bit of chip in here. Can't wait any longer. Sorry folks, give us a second. Oh, we need grease off that. High ratness Pepsi, don't even do Coke. Pedos, drink Pepsi. I'm not pedo by the way, it's just literally all that. Right, so brake synths and brake perks, so it's all around those synths and these perks. So it builds up from there. At the start of the break we'll have some other things here. The kick and bass that sits underneath, it's just to give, if you take this out we hear a difference. It's just nothing there. Just keeps sustains the groove. Some atmospheres, I'll show the atmospheres as well. This is just to kind of complement what's already there. Can't beat the hot wings at KFC. Just to add depth, that's all that's for. And then there's this 115 section here is the first part of the breakdown where it starts to actually build up the groove. So the snares would come in. There's an acid sound here as well. It's more like a horn, or like a siren kind of sound, but it just sits underneath. There's the snares. If you listen here, keep an eye on 115. This is where the track starts to really take the energy. Well, you can start to hear everything start to build. It's tension again. You hear the synth coming. So that's everything opening up. You can hear the stabs opening up. This section here is like the final big build. Well, this is the start of the big build. The first track I done this kind of technique in was the dark side. We start the build, but halfway through you take the build up again another level to add to the energy. It just adds so much more anticipation when you're coming into your drop. It just makes the impact of your drop far. People think it's only going to last a certain length. Take it up another 2 notches and then bring it right back, and when it eventually does kick in, it fucking destroys the place. I learned that from the dark side when I done that. I've done it a couple of tunes since. So here is where you start to bring in just sweeps and stuff. This is where the kick. What's the kick? There. So these snare builds before only had the snares, 2 snares. This is where I bring in the brake kick, so I have like just a kick roll, but I don't like to do it on my original kick, and I always have an independent channel for doing it. Just keeps things tighter. So with this section here, this is where the kick starts to come in, so the low end starts to pump, and the track's energy or tension starts to really build. Listen to the synth. I know I'm talking a lot here, like I'm trying to explain everything, the idea behind everything. Listen to the big synth sweep thing, how much energy that adds as it gets quicker and quicker and quicker. Okay, so everything's all built right up there. The sweeps, the pads, or not the pads, the leads. There's no pads in this track, I don't think at all. These These all pitch up, and then this is like the fill, but this is the last bit of tension because it drops over here. So what I want to do is bring out some of the elements, bring out the snares and stuff, but have transitional points here, transition elements again that bring you smoothly over. So your pre-fill, your fill, and then your post-fill. So I wanted to sweep like a kind of laser sweeper, because what I do with these break synths is I have like a tape stop on them, which gets us to the, I'll let you hear first of all this section here. This is where the vocal comes back in, then it drops. What the fuck are you doing to me? There.
Coming up strong with some hardcore power.
So I needed to get this element out, these elements out from this section here into the drop, and this is the way that I did it. I put a tape stop on it, and this here, Sonal Kiss, it's like a distortion bit crusher thing, but you hear what it does. Put the right sound on, you dope. Where is it? There. So it like really distorts the shit out of the sound. So what I've done is I had the tape stop, the Liberator tape stop. It was like, ew, and then that comes over the top. To get me in here. So I turned the one knob wetter, which is just a reverb, turned that to come up here, which gets me into my vocal fill here. So I've successfully brought this element out from the breakdown, stripped it back. Instead of just turning the volume down or filtering it down, I've done something creative, opened it right up, done a tape stop, some distortion, brings it into the vocal, and then you have the heads roll drop.
Strong with some hardcore power.
Tell you one thing, I can't wait to fucking play this out when things do eventually get back to normal. Racking machine. Live, I can imagine. Right, so what I've done with the thing here, the bass line. If you listen to the bass before, earlier in the track, listen to the groove of the bass. Bum 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 bum. It's more of a groovy bass line, whereas in the main drop here I wanted to add more energy and make it a lot more banging. So I changed it to an offbeat. So it completely changes up the rhythm of the bass line, which adds more, I think it adds more impact. It's more banging.
Coming up strong with some hardcore power.
Claps back in. Filtering the percussion up again. Slowly introducing all my elements into this section here, which is the crescendo of energy, where everything comes back in, the acid and stuff. So it's just building, creating, bringing your stuff in intelligently instead of just slapping your clips and everything just being dead linear and just not, it doesn't blend together at all. Try and bridge all your elements together with filters, reverbs, delays, volume automation, stuff like that there. It just makes it sound a lot more musical, a lot more natural. 159 here, it's like a little transition section, a little small transition section, holy fuck. Kick hat comes out, and the kick comes out, just snares come in, builds a bit of tension, then the fill, and then into the crescendo. So this is just a carbon copy, this section of this. Just copied the whole entire section over. Don't usually do that, to be honest, but it just made sense because it's like I was going for that kind of track, stripped back. Didn't need to overcomplicate things. What I would normally do is have a completely different fucking bass line or completely different, like, a different track. Sounds like a completely different track at this section. The only thing I would ever recycle is the kick, the sub, and the percussion would make a new bass line, make new synths, make new effects. But that's like the more complicated projects. But this one was, the idea was to keep it simple. only element that gets added now that isn't in the rest of the track is this little alarm effect that I put in. I just needed to take a lift up here at 179. It was the halfway point before I hit my outro, and I just wanted to take it up a wee level, so I added this. So I took the stabs in the breakdown, the section before they went tape stop down, and just layered them with it. Sounds like absolute horse shit on its own, but it does add a wee bit of extra texture to the groove. Just fills out, gives it a bit more depth. That's what I was looking for. The final transition again, filtering down all your kick and bass, filtering down all your percussion, putting the intricate and smaller details into your transitions to keep your track as interesting as possible. Final fill here, and then the outro. Always have a 1 minute outro as well, and never have any longer than a 1 minute outro. I don't see the point. My track gets mixed here. I bring it in when I'm DJing. I only need a minute. If I need to extend it, I'll loop it. Do you know what I mean? Or use a hot cue to bring it back. I don't understand these people have 2.5 minute outros. What the fuck is the point? Like, you're just wasting your time. Most DJs have it well mixed out by that point anyway. But I think that's it. That is it. Track's done. Showed you everything. I really hope somebody has enjoyed that and learned something first and foremost. It's always really, really fun doing these and going through and showing some people some techniques and stuff. Hopefully you can learn. If you do want to learn a little bit more, you can get in the studio with me. I do tuition and engineering as well. Just hit me up on a message. I want to learn how to do all these techniques one-to-one. You can obviously ask a lot more questions. You get my time. Yeah, just hit me up for pricing and stuff. Again, I just want to say the track's number 33. The remix is number 33 on Beatport right now. And everybody who supported, thank you so much. Massively appreciated, as I said. Tomorrow there is a Set the Scene, our number 6 Set the Scene goes out tomorrow from Helens Bay. It's a really good one of my favourites, probably my favourite yet. 8 o'clock tomorrow night on my Facebook page, so make sure to check it out. And yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. I'm glad this went so smooth. My first time streaming and it went really smooth, so I'm happy with it. I'll be doing a lot more stuff like this in the future. I'm thinking about doing maybe one day when I get a free weekend, trying to make a track in like 5 or 6 hours, a full track, like a bootleg or something, and just show you how to do it and how it's done, to make bootlegs, how easy they are. Because a lot of my clients ask me the same question, like, doing bootlegs, are they easier? And they really are, like. So doing like a 5-hour blitz live stream and just pick a track and for an old tune, like a bootleg, and just remix it and try and remix it and get it done in 5 hours. Obviously we'll produce it together, people throwing ideas in the comments, just a wee bit more interaction with us, which would be nice. But yes, I'm going to leave this here. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for the support on the remix. Hopefully somebody has learned something. And yeah, I'll catch up with you again soon. Don't forget to watch Set the Scene tomorrow. And go and buy the tune if you haven't bought it already. Nice one, folks. Take it easy. Speak to you soon. How do I stop this now? All the best. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.